Hi, this is John Wolf, and I'd like to welcome you back to the Wind of the Soul podcast series. In this episode, I'm going to be picking up where I left off in numbers 7, 8, and 9. And essentially what I was doing, in case you missed those installments, is I'm taking existing entries in my blog and converting them over to podcast audio recordings. The intention for doing this is because I really want to make it easy and accessible for someone that may not be interested in sitting at their computer and reading a blog entry, or otherwise, if they're on the go a lot, you can take this information. It's right in the audio section of my site. It's in MP3 format. You can download it right in that format. Everything is completely clean. I always make sure all links are safe for you. All downloadable information is safe. You can download it right into your computer, uplink it to your iPod, your Zune, burn it to CD, take it with you in your car, wherever you're going, and that way you can still have an audio version of my blog posts. Today's entry features the blog post titled Evoking Change Through Uplifting Action, and this entry was posted on the 15th of December 2008. As is customary for me, when PBS goes into pledge drive mode, my TV spends more time on than it does off. During these pledge drives, you'll find public television airing more personal development and spiritually based programming. Several days ago, they featured a self-help seminar titled The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews. And if you're interested in learning more about Andy, I highly recommend his website, andyandrews.com. I first became aware of Andy through his book, Storms of Perfection, in which he shared the personal success stories which stem from the repeated failures and persistent drive of many well-known celebrities, athletes, and business people. The point of Andy's PBS special was to reinforce the idea that each and every one of our actions, no matter how trivial they seem, create an impact, not only in our life, but in the lives of so many others, even to the point of reaching future generations. As Andy stated, there are generations yet unborn whose existence depends on the choices you make and the action you take, because everything you do matters, every move you make, every action you take. Not just for you, not just for your family or hometown. Everything you do matters for all of us forever. After shutting off the television, I began really feeling for how Andy's words resonated with me and how I'm applying them in my own life. When we take any action, it not only has a direct impact on that which we are acting upon, but it also has an impact upon unknown or unseen, to us, variables far removed from our immediate vicinity. For example, let's take a look at a small derogatory action, such as someone throwing the finger to a fellow driver in traffic. We assume a gesture such as that only has a direct relevant impact in that very short moment in time. Rarely do we contemplate the kind of negative momentum that action may create in the life of the recipient and in the lives of each individual the recipient comes into contact with after that moment, and in turn, each person those people come into contact with. Such a simple gesture can affect the mood and mindset of an individual in a manner far greater than we realize, and that mood and mindset will determine their follow-up actions towards others. During the course of a single event, our activities have the potential to impact anywhere from a handful of people to thousands or even millions. Every one of our actions and deeds creates a ripple effect throughout humanity and the universe itself, sometimes enacting small outcomes and at other times enacting greater ones. But the point is, they all create an impact, and they all count. When we take that into consideration, it becomes more important to consistently perform more conscious acts. It may seem silly to think something as insignificant as gesturing with our middle finger can change the course of events for a multitude of individuals, but that, in a way, is exactly what it does. You see, the web of existence is so interconnected and intertwined that there is not one single action or deed which can escape causing an impact in our lives and in the lives of so many others. Everything was designed that way for a very good reason, to show us just how our choices can either benefit us greatly as we recognize and promote our unity, or else how they can harm us immensely as we react from a fear-based belief in separation. So we have to ask ourselves, are the majority of our actions spurring on something positive in others, or are they eliciting the opposite response? Of course, we each have to take responsibility for our deeds. Just because we perform a rude gesture doesn't grant the recipient of that gesture carte blanche for treating anyone they encounter badly. But it does need to make us more conscientious of our own behavior, whether we are the recipient or the giver. And once we understand this principle and how far-reaching it can be, we owe it to ourselves and to others to be more conscientious. Another beautiful thing about embracing this knowledge is the fact we naturally become less reactive when we are on the receiving end of a rude gesture or unkind act. Coming to the understanding of this concept was not difficult for me, but actually knowing it in my core has taken a while longer. Not because I didn't care about what I did to others, but because I spent many years not caring about myself. I used to suffer from extreme low self-esteem. As a child, it was so bad, I heavily identified with the character Little Jackie Paper from Puff the Magic Dragon. Now that may sound humorous in a way, but in essence, I really felt paper thin and ineffective. So I assumed my actions and deeds counted for very little and had almost no impact on anyone else. This assumption was derived from my own internal views and judgments about my worth. Since I didn't care about myself, how could I assume someone so unimportant, me, could ever impact others who I believed to be more alive and consequential? Developing an understanding regarding the impact and brevity of the actions we take is a natural byproduct of learning to love and respect ourselves and appreciate who we are. Our actions can only be as beneficial or as detrimental as the beliefs we retain in our internal landscape. As we strive to experience more internal growth through self-love, forgiveness, and understanding, we will naturally feel the desire to primarily perform positive external acts and deeds, not because it's right or in abidance with social or religious law, but because it feels natural. In fact, it will become second nature to us without trying to force it or even having to think about it, because it will be a reflection of who we are internally.